Okay. Hello, happy to be here. So I'm going to present to you OpenGreffe. First of all, so this is no working software. It's just proceedings of a hackathon on which we worked at Legal Starts with Annie, who's in the audience. And the basic team is about making software that opens the web. And I'll give you a brief introduction about why we are talking about this. So first, it's about creating companies. How does the process work, and how to make it more open. And so this is called incorporation. So creating company incorporation is the same thing. Incorporation is a closed process which is basically updated every 50 years. I'm taking France as a reference since that's where we're working on that. And we wanted to try to apply lessons from open source world to that, and also make things public on public blockchains. So as to be more auditable and have public records for companies, which is maintained collectively. In brief words, I'm going to tell you about how incorporating works today. So as I was saying, it's a closed process, meaning it's written in law and it doesn't change much, and it's tedious, as you can imagine, especially in France. And the last thing is that it's entirely this process is entirely owned by entities called Greffe, and which are state managed. And so what we'd like to do is to start from base principles about what does creating a company mean, and try to do this with code and update that and keep state on the blockchain about that. So I'll go through. I'll start really from the basics, and that will be most of what I explain during this talk. So base attributes about the company are, as I wrote there in some pseudo code, a name, a list of associates or founders, if you want, and an amount which is allocated to the company, which is usually called capital. Company indeed is defined as at its very core as being a set of associates bringing capital together to work on a common goal. And that's an actual definition of a company. I'm just going to augment this with an Ethereum address, because basically if you want to make business on the blockchain, you like to have that. And the idea there is to have a smart contract, so which is going to be a record in which we are going to insert new companies. And as they are inserted, it means that they are created and you can identify them from now on. So this process is basically mimicking, doing very much closely the same thing as what's going on in real life when you incorporate a company, actually. But really based on only the core principles of it. I'm going to explain now how this would work in actual real life, and this is how the code that we did is working more or less. So associates, again, founders, set up, for example, a multi-sig address on which they are going to send their capital, so the amount with which they want to start doing business. They submit this to the OpenGreffe record. Then, as a second step, it's important that there is a verifier, which is going to be an entity, a company, something which is going to do the work of looking up the associates, making sure they exist, making sure that the capital has been allocated, and do basically all the stuff that you need to do to make sure that things are in order. Once verifiers have done their job, that's the point where the company actually can be, we can say that it exists from this point on. And then the last step is just to give sense to all of this. You do that so that other businesses can look you up afterwards. And so, for example, so I'm going to show an example of what we tried to do. So this merges steps 1 and 2. So basically, you just upload some data about the company. So just all the things you need so as to identify the company along with an Ethereum address. And then that's where I was saying to give sense to this. If I am another business, I can, for example, if I want to start doing business with an Ethereum address, I will look up the Ethereum address through a tool like this one, like this screenshot, and find, okay, like this address indeed corresponds to a business, and I have details about this business. So it's resolution of a business based on address, on Ethereum addresses. And this allows, as I said, identifying companies based on their Ethereum address. And this allows two other, what I think are important values of why do you want to register and incorporate companies. It's building long-term trust, because then you are, any business that you are going to do with this company, if you are doing good business, you're going to build trust. If you are doing bad business, you're going to destroy trust on your company. So that's basically a reputation system. And also accountability of associates. As you can look up who they are based on the company, you can sue them, for example, if something goes wrong. So what I explained there is actually based on actual law concepts, especially what is called société en participation in French law, which allows to create. So doing this would create a société en participation, which has unlimited liability, and you can't do much of all the legal things with it. So basically, you can't build contracts based on the company identification. You always have to link contracts back to the associates. So it's very limited, but it exists. So there is kind of a legal ground to that. So now I've explained in some quick words how I start from the base principles of what is a company, and we try to build a new kind of incorporation process. Now, how is it interesting? So I think first of all, it's opening a closed system. Which is most of what other similar blockchain projects would be doing, replacing the monopoly of graphs, notably. It's doing things more auditable and secure. So as you move processes on chain, you can audit and verify them. You can the verification process could be. We can think about moving it more on chain. So that would be an interesting topic. It allows doing on-chain business because I'm mapping Ethereum addresses to companies. And I think one of the interesting points there is also that it opens up the discussion about how the process of incorporating a company is working. And that's where maybe it relates most to the open source values of that. So, yeah. Repeating myself a bit there, but trying to bring open source goodness to existing processes which are today managed by law is one of the goals of that. Yeah, I guess I'm done. If you have any feedback, I'm interested in that. And as I was saying, that's more about like opening discussion and trying to think about ways we can move existing legal processes to code and innovate on that. Thanks.
Any questions?
So the company, the corporation, also needs to be registered with the state, or it's just enough to do this thing and the state recognize it?
Yeah, so indeed you don't have to register the company through traditional means so let me state it another way. So if you do the process as I've explained and only this process, you will be recognized as société en participation in France. So it doesn't bring a lot of legal, protection or stuff, but it actually allows you to start doing business. So that's what why I was saying, starting from base principles. It doesn't bring at all of the existing legal frameworks. It's just about the very core.
How many companies did you incorporate with this system, and how?
Zero.
Excellent question. And how is this perceived by officials?
So as I was saying, it's just it's just an idea that we did while working on a hackathon. So that's more of at the idea stage. And I mean, as a developer, what I found interesting, maybe that answers kind of to your question, is to try to think about law as being a set of rules that we could encode somehow. So that's more of that, right? Like the result of what we did, I think, is that, not more for now.
Yeah, so I think very interesting.
Thanks.
Also, so was it related to legal hackers?
No.
So that's a group where they try to bring law and computation
Yeah, I heard about that, but no.
Yeah. But I think it's interesting because you have a similar concept also in Germany, for example, where people can do business, but they have this kind of société en participation. And doing it on the chain, then you are more accountable, and everything you do in this corporation, then it's on the chain, and if you have to do your tax declaration or so, you just say, oh, it's here, and that's it. I think. But
Yep.
Can you explain a bit more about the verifiers? How do they work? Do they verify the amount and also the identity?
Mm-hmm.
For example, if someone registers in my name, then is it going to be approved false? Or?
Yeah,
Thanks.
so I haven't talked about this much, but verifiers would need to be doing so what we call due diligence, or it's kind of know your customer. It's called several ways, but you would have to verify that the actual people that, for example, own the multi-sig address are indeed the people that are going to be registered. So this would need to be done off-chain, right? I don't have a solution to that for now.
Very still time for a couple of questions, if anyone has. All right, let's thank Ericsson again. So now there's a half an hour break for lunch, and the next talk will be at 1 a.m.